Vicar of Digley was checking out a prospective boyfriend, as she often was doing, and she inquired about his religious affiliations or interests. And he said, I'm a C and A kind of person. And she says, you mean, and she got really excited, C of E, Church of England? And he said, no, Christmas and Easter. Well, she've heard that before. But when you're a preacher or a minister and you've got to preach every Christmas and Easter, well, I think I used to find myself under more pressure because when you preach at Christmas and Easter, which is a bit funny, like talking about Christmas and birthdays being important, but when you speak at Christmas and Easter, you've always got people in church who are C and A's, like people who come at Christmas, and they're different to the people who turn up at church every Sunday, who are expecting you to school. They know what you're sort of going to go on about, and it's something probably not really to do with the world at all. It's got to do with the Bible and theology and stuff like that. But when it comes to Christmas and Easter, you have to try and be relevant to the C and A's and to the people who turn up every week. So it's a bit of a dilemma, because you know they're expecting you to dig into the Bible and get into something, and they're sort of thinking about Santa Claus and a whole lot of it. And you've got this clash of worlds and thinking. And you're thinking, because everybody's thinking about Christmas, what are you going to say that's actually going to be relevant to both and make sense? And the biggest fear is you're going to end up not pleasing anybody, which is probably what usually happens. So I'm delighted anyway this year that I don't have to preach on Christmas. And so today I can just talk to the ones who always turn up. So today I'm going to talk about the virgin birth, because it is the most important thing in your minds, isn't it? Coming up to Christmas. Isn't it? Well, the two Bible readings we had, how many mentions were in there of the virgin birth, or the virgin, or a virgin? It was all about it, wasn't it? Yeah. Just full of it, about virginity. No message about, I read a thing this week about Sexmas, celebrating Sexmas rather than Christmas. It's just sort of, you know. Anyways, there was no mention of sex or anything, and about the virgin birth. And so I'm going to open it up now just for, like, how really important is the virgin birth? Obviously you've already told me, but it doesn't seem to be that important to you. But is it really important or not? I'm going to say it's not really, but that's where I'm going to go. But it might be to those who from a Roman Catholic background. It could be very, very, very important. I don't know. Julie, or including you? It's interesting because even we're singing the song "Make Me a Channel of Your Peace," and we see Mary
I was being a channel of disturbance.
Channel of disturbance. Make a challenge. The channel is like an empty vessel or a pipe, and I suppose people just see it like some womb or something that was like there just to give birth to something, but that seems to take away the whole humanity of Jesus, like that. So it's very, very, very confusing. So no wonder you wouldn't bring this up on Christmas Day when you get all sorts of mixed up things about sex. But it's a fantastic thing on. I put on Facebook yesterday about Rev, the program Rev, and they're talking about the virgin birth and it's just a short thing, goes for about a minute, and it's really funny. It's hilarious. So, but I don't think we should put it on here now. But that whole thing about her being just like, it just doesn't seem to make sense, because then you think, well, you know, did Jesus really become one of us? Because really, the story of the birth of Christ is really the story of the incarnation of God, or coming among us, or being present with us. So really, I'm talking today about. Because we're talking about gifts, the gift of being present, the presence, or the present of being present. If I get that right, it's like God's gift of being present with us on this earth. It's what it's really about. So, you know, we get all caught up in the virgin stuff and all, but it's what must be put in there for a reason. And then you wonder if it got really, you know, because I'm one of these people who thinks a lot of stuff got written back into it, or why did it get put in there? But the early church, or the church later on, when they were having all the conflicts over the humanity of Jesus and so on, like this was very important to them. But it's still, you know, just like we were saying here, it's like hedging their bets. one way or the other, and it doesn't quite make sense. And I just can't get my head around it at all. After looking at it for a whole week, I'm going, but that, but the other. But so it seems we're saying that this Jesus came from a virgin, from someone who hadn't had sexual intercourse, but it also speaks not just about being born from Jesus being born from a virgin, but born from the Holy Spirit, and coming forth from the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is like someone, or the Holy Spirit gives not gives birth, but gives life. Rather than creating life, it sort of brings forth life. And so I suppose it's saying something about the incarnation is about the Spirit bringing forth life and bringing forth life present into this world. So Matthew and Luke seem to really go on about the virgin birth as being very important in the beginning. But it's really interesting when you look at the other Gospels, and their beginnings are very different. And so they don't actually begin with a virgin birth. It's not important to them. There's no mention of it in them. And Mark says, in the beginning, this is the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And he starts with John the Baptist in the desert and a proclamation. That's his beginning. And I'm sure you all know John's one. John begins in the beginning. And it's an interesting contrast because John's beginning actually is more like an eternal beginning, because in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and so on. And it talks about sort of coming forth and into life and becoming flesh. And it's really speaking on, I guess, the work of the Spirit, rather than coming forth from a woman or a person. And getting your head around that is too hard, but behind that, it's what do you call it? It's a theology of the Spirit bringing life and bringing life to people and bringing people to birth. It's really interesting because it's great because I can sound very, very evangelical all the time, or evangelistic, because Jesus, one of the things that he said is, you must be born again, which all you Baptists will know very well, and others, or born from above. And that really links up with the wording from Matthew, born from the Holy Spirit. And born from above, born from the Holy Spirit, born again. There's this sort of engendering or whatever, or bringing us all to birth. Well, how John talks about the second birth or being born again. And it's like Jesus is born from the Holy Spirit into this world, and each one of us then are born again or brought to life. And I'm thinking, well, what is that really about? And I'm thinking, it's sort of about bringing us into the present and into an awareness of, I guess, who we are, where we are, from maybe doing our own thing, but this awareness that the Spirit brings to us, which is very similar to the awareness Jesus brings into the world as the incarnation of God becoming flesh and one of us. It's sort of bringing us this awareness, bringing birth and life to us. And so I was thinking, because I know you all talk about gifts, and so when you got all these people coming there in Easter, or Christmas, they're all thinking, oh gosh, did I get this or that, or what's it about, and all these thoughts are going on. And so Christmas has many, many, many meanings, but I'm just thinking, for me, the meaning of the present of presence, or the present of being present. So here's a meaning that I'm getting, is that God is becoming present amongst us and with us. And then I think about the life of Jesus. When I look at the stories, I always feel here's somebody who's present with people. And they must have sensed something, a presence, that he was focused on them, that he was aware of them. And that's what, for me, the gospel stories seem to carry, this sort of sense of him knowing about them and being with them. And I was thinking about when we're with people, most of the time, Julie and I have this conversation, we always have